internal democracy, and particularly nominations that are not being interfered with by the party leader. If William Ruto wanted to choose people who were known at that point in time, because most of us, Senator Sang, for example, many people never knew him. The same to Aaron, Senator Aaron. I mean, Sang is known now. Senator Meli, nobody knew him. And you know what helped us, and what continues to help the people in Rift Valley, is the internal democracy. In the few places where we had candidates that came from other political parties, and Kanu, for example, and they succeeded to get the seats, were either because we never managed to convince that very strong candidate from Kanu to run in our nominations, and therefore, because of his personal strength, they were able to run and win. Or in cases like Baringo, where people just said, you know, we respect the Kanu philosophy, we have been in Kanu for many years, we can give them a reward of 1 seat, let's give them the senator, and so forth. and also for the, out of the strength of Gideon Moi and the Moi brand in Baringo itself. So you have generally that democracy has helped us too, and that's a lesson. That really what we kept saying, we must maintain the internal democracy, because if we're telling people we go to Jubilee Party, the fear is that we bungle people in a huge political movement, and if there is no internal democracy, many candidates will opt not to waste their money in nomination if the nomination is going to be unpicking people. Two is that what really took us to Kericho, and people like ourselves, because we had just told Benja and the MPs from Baringo, Kericho to continue. But what took us there is Governor Isaac Ruto was running a very dangerous campaign, which was divide Kipsigis from the Nandi and the others, divide this and that, and he kept saying that, you know, we South Rift, North Rift, and so forth. We are going there to confirm the unity of the community and say that we're still one united family despite the competition. And you know, it was a bad campaign. By the way, what has not been published is that the campaign of the Kanu group, that group, had internal problems at some point, and you could see that there was, and that internal problem was caused by the difference in ideology. Isaac Ruto was running a campaign of bungling Kalenjins to be divided. Gideon Moi and his father are still believing that there must be a united Kalenjin, and so it would have been an insult to tell people of South Rift we don't want people from North Rift, yet Gideon Moi comes from Baringo, Alonyangapo came from West Pokot, Oscar Sudi, Alfred, and all that. So it was really a fallacy by itself. Secondly, that you know, Kanu wanted to maintain a brand of being Kanu, and that has been also the philosophy of former president. But in the campaign itself, you had characters saying Mashinani was a bigger banner, and then there was a Kanu, so it looked like Kanu Mashinani or Kanu Fresh, and so there was also their own internal fights that many of you may never have captured. But for us, we were more focused on that kind of unity, and we wanted to prepare a ground for final merging of these parties to form Jubilee Party, and show the discipline and behavior that we are capable of running a competition in a more democratic manner, so that it can give room for people in future to be able to join us.
All right, Mukua, maybe before we go to Malindi, your conclusion as a political analyst on Kericho, and also as Senator rightly says that there seemed to have been democracy within the party, such that there was a newcomer, nobody knew about him, he's a very young man, but the party was okay with him going as the candidate, and of course proved by the numbers at the elections. But in concluding, Kericho, your take on it?
Well, for me it's interesting that Aaron Cheruiyot is the gentleman all of a sudden has got so many friends on social media. Everybody refers to him as my friend. But I'm happy that for the first time there was that kind of democracy, because you know, he ran against heavyweights and he was able to floor them, and the will of the people was respected. And one would expect that that's what is going to be happening next year. But in as much as Murkomen may not accept the fact that you had 50,000 people not listening to DP Ruto's wish, because his wish was that Sang probably gets 9,000 votes. That's why now they would be in cloud 9. But I think that's something which cannot be ignored. And it's something which must be encouraged, because the people in Rift Valley, not all of them necessarily love Jubilee. They may need an alternative vehicle. So Kanu would say there's an alternative vehicle, and the people must have a freedom of association and movement. So If folks in Rift Valley, for some reason, are happy with Jubilee, let them join Jubilee. If they think they don't like the way DP Ruto is running the show, they should have an alternative. They must not be locked out of the political process simply because they don't.
But you don't think the 50,000 who voted for Paul Sang says something about the DP's leadership in that area? He has been known as the kingpin of the area. Does he still remain?
Well, he's still the kingpin because, I mean, his candidates won. Because, you know, at the end of the day, that's really what matters. That, you know, the first man who scores, it's his candidates. There
is no number two in politics.
Yeah, even if Sang,
number one.
Yeah.
even if Sang would have, I mean, if Aaron Cheruiyot would have beaten Sang just by one vote, that would have been sufficient. But the DP must be worried today. There are 50,000 people, whether occasioned by Gideon Moi's thinking or Governor Ruto's thinking or Sudi, who disregarded his advice. Because when he spoke in his mother tongue, he told them, vote for this guy and let's prepare for 2022. So probably these 50,000 guys said, you're looking at 2022, we are not shareholders in that process. You do your own campaigns. We are going to stick with Governor Ruto, Senator Moi, and then they know to run their show.
All right.
But I'm happy on one thing. There is no point that Dismas has said those 50,000 have anything to do with presidential elections. And if he dares say that, I want him to watch the space. Let's go to next year and tell me the only votes that ODM will continue getting is the 15,000 or so votes they have in Kericho. And at most, they will get 20,000 next election. And it's constant. I mean, we try to win those votes to our side. It's because of their attachment to the constituency of Raila Odinga, most of those who are working the tea farms and so forth. We may not be able to convince them. And so, if ODM gets more than 20,000 in the next elections, then you can now say, Kano transferred some votes to whatever. Two, if the 50,000 is going to make any sense in terms of, if you want to link the 50,000 to DP, you must link it to presidential elections. You must say there are 50,000 people who are not going to vote for Uhuru Ruto because of Ruto's influence in the Rift Valley. And I am telling you, that is a fallacy. The argument is, and Dismas is ignoring facts. I am telling him, it is not today. I am telling you about 2013. 98,000 people voted for Nick Salat. Over 120,000 people voted for Gideon Moi. But they never transferred those votes to punish William Ruto. Even in places where we went to campaign in Bureti, in the village of Paul Sang. And people were really telling the DP, we like you so much, but we're in Toto. I mean, we will vote for him.
We'll vote for him.
He had to he even got 22,000 votes in his own constituency.
Okay, I want us to move to Malindi.
But I just beg that before we move, Senator Murkomen is, your respect must be established. Is ignoring one fact that there's a lot of political dynamics. There's actually a probability that we may not have a Jubilee. There's a chance that a DP Ruto will be running probably even on a court ticket. So, it's very early in the day to just assume possibility. Of course. And he knows very well that most successful political parties in Kenya are established 3 months to the election, 6 months to the election. So there's a very high chance that he's going to be running on a court ticket for his constituency. Yeah.
Well, he's here, he can tell us that.
These probabilities do exist.
they do exist.
But I think with that as it means, the lessons from Kericho are very clear. That today, majority of the people interested in political office, they've committed the DP's number to memory. They'll be looking for Murkomen to assist them get that nomination because they know they're going to get a
look for the people, not me.
All right, then let's just hear the acceptance speech for Aaron Cheruiyot, who is now the senator for Kericho, before we move to Malindi and just do an analysis on that. And this is Aaron Cheruiyot after he was declared the winner.
I want to thank every resident of Kericho County who took their time to vote yesterday. You exercised your democratic right, and we are here today because of you. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the leadership of the Jubilee Alliance Party who came and stood with us during this campaign period, and now we are here celebrating because of the good work that they did. Most importantly though, there is a team that I want to recognize and give all the glory and honor for the good work that they've done. The initial team, KKK, the first guys, who are the first guys to believe.
That has taken matters of graft head on. People say there are too many cases of graft being investigated, whether by Parliament, by EACC, and so forth. But that is a strength, it's not a weakness. This corruption was going on for many years in this country. It's only under our new constitution, and we need to celebrate the new constitution, that the strength of presidency to cover, or executive to cover corruption is now down. Parliament, you have a parliament that is robust. You have also a lot of leakage of information in courts. I mean, in the past, state secrets and closing of information was very easy. So you were not, you know, even Anglo-leasing, it took so many years to find out Goldenback and so forth. But because of our constitution, and I start by celebrating the constitution, because of our new constitutional order, you cannot just now hide information anywhere. You find blockers getting information from that whistleblower in an office and giving to a blocker, and that blocker is posting it on a Facebook or Twitter. And then it becomes the beginning of an investigation picked by a parliamentarian and so forth. So access to information, distribution of that information, freedom of expression, freedom is adding up. I want to start from the constitutional order. Two is that you must give credit to the president, that he has been in the forefront in terms of fighting corruption, to the extent that he exceeded even his boundaries. The court has just made a decision yesterday that his listing of the 175 names and asking EACC to do investigation is unconstitutional. And I say that time, and I remember saying that time, that it is not the president. This argument by opposition and other actors that it should be the president doing investigations and arresting and sending people and so forth, president should comply with orders given by either the EACC or other institutions that are supposed to investigate, or CID and so forth, that so and so needs to be investigated, so and so has done this, and he should then comply by removing those people and so forth. So to a great extent, we need to give credit to the fact that we have a good constitutional order, but also that the presidency is supporting that argument. What we must fight is this ignorance that because of political expediency, anything that happens that are related to corruption, you attribute to the executive, in total disregard of the independence of the institution. And the court yesterday reaffirmed that argument that EACC should not be operating under the direction of the executive. The reason why the president went out of his way to do that is because the blame was just being put on his door. You people in the media must educate our people and put pressure on the institutions that are supposed to carry out oversight, outside just a simple argument that it is the president after all.
Okay. Yeah. Let me just get your comments. I'm told time is not on our side, and we need to wind up. But your comments on what he says, that the government, this is the government that has fought corruption at the most.
Well, once an American general said that the U.S. war in Iraq was a huge success, and one wanted to find out who determines the performance indicators. And in my view, the success of the corruption fight in Kenya, and I say this with a lot of respect to Murkomen, is the number of convictions. If you claim that you are fighting corruption in Kenya and nobody has been jailed, then, because you know, for Wanjiku or for the case of Murkomen Chabet at home, they keep on reading newspapers every single day. There are at least 10 cases of corruption. It could be that there's a lot of leakage. It could be that a lot of these cases are being highlighted today. It could be that journalists now have got the guts to talk about this. But how many people are spending time at committee? How many people have been convicted? That means that there must be, in any country that has won the fight against corruption, there must be goodwill from the top. And you know, it's so disturbing that majority of the guys who are being mentioned in corruption or corruption-related causes are friends and close associates, either to the president or his deputy. And you know, the president has not come out in black and white, banging tables at State House, telling his friends.
I'll have to cut you short because of time. We're really out of time. But I need to get from Senator Murkomen. Your name appeared in the NYS scandal. I need to hear what your comments are on that. I'm sure Kenyans would not forgive me if I don't know.
Yeah, it's laughable because my name never appeared in negative. It appeared in positive. But I mean, if many people never read the affidavit, nowhere in the affidavit talks about me in vain. In fact, if anything, Anne says I warned her, and that warning led to her removal from office. And I have no regret about that. I told her.
There was also a notion that there was interference from yourself and Eden Duale.
No, not from me. Read the affidavit. She says I went and warned her that if they should face unspecified consequence, and those unspecified consequences led to her impeachment. And then all of the newspapers are running that Murkomen was involved. And by the way, we had that conversation with Anne. Okay. And so there's nothing she said that is out of from her personal perspective, there's nothing out of what I told her.
All right, I think we'll delve more into that when we come in on person of interest soon. And that's why we'll have to wind up this particular part of the interview. But do stay with us. We've got news updates coming up at exactly 8 o'clock. And also remember, we're talking about technology today. And later on, we'll be looking at a technology that could save your life. Don't go away. Do stay with us right here on Morning Express.